successful, wealthy, and inspirational. These individuals and their families have grown to become some of the biggest and best known in the world. The Kennedys are America's most famous political family. The enduring legacy of the Kennedys is public service. The careers of each family member, especially John, Robert and Edward, have focused on the fight against injustice, wherever they may have found it. They've been champions of the less fortunate and work tirelessly in supporting the needs of working men and women. Elected president in 1960, John F. Kennedy was the youngest ever president. He dealt with severe challenges in Cuba and Berlin and was confronted with a serious nuclear threat. Many admired his winning personality, his lively family, his intelligence and his tireless energy, as well as respected his courage in time of decision. His marriage to Jacqueline Bouvier made her the youngest First Lady in US history, bringing beauty, grace, intelligence and cultivated taste to the White House. In November 1963, JFK, the 35th President of the United States, was assassinated, leaving the nation in mourning. Today, JFK continues to rank highly in public opinion ratings of former US presidents. Robert Francis Kennedy was the United States Attorney General from 1961 to 1964 and US Senator from New York from 1965 till 1968. Robert's tenure as Attorney General was easily the period of greatest power for the office. No former United States Attorney General had enjoyed such clear influence on all areas of policy during an administration. As JFK's younger brother, he was also one of his most trusted advisors and worked closely with the president during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He also made a significant contribution to the African American civil rights movement. After announcing his own campaign for president in 1968, Robert was shot shortly after. The current President of the United States declared an official day of national mourning in response to the public grief following his death. Edward Ted Kennedy is the youngest of the three brothers. He's the senior United States Senator from Massachusetts and a member of the Democratic Party. In office since November 1962, Ted is the second most senior member of the Senate. Ted is a staunch advocate of liberal principles and is one of the most influential and enduring icons of his party. Supporters of Ted urged him to run for president in the 70s, but due to his brother's assassinations, he declined. He eventually gave in and ran for the 1980 presidential election, but lost out to Jimmy Carter. The year after JFK was assassinated, Ted was one of the survivors of a plane crash. He was pulled from the wreckage by a fellow senator and spent weeks in hospital recovering from serious injuries. Caroline Kennedy, the daughter and only surviving child of JFK and Jacqueline Kennedy, is an attorney, editor, writer, and one of the founders of the Profiles in Courage Award, which has the same name as her father's Pulitzer Prize-winning book that he wrote in the 50s. She's currently involved in many organisations, often representing her family and showing the strength and determination that they all once possessed. Caroline's younger brother, John F. Kennedy Jr., was known as America's son, for he was one of the few presidential children to actually be raised in the White House. From their political aspirations and dedication in trying to make a difference, to their unfortunate tragedies, now known as the Kennedy Curse, they remain an admirable, strong family that people will always remember. In the past 2 decades, British inventor Sir James Dyson has transformed the vacuum cleaner in a way that has made vacuuming carpets a breeze and turned him into a billionaire. He's best known as the inventor of the dual cyclone bagless vacuum cleaner, which works on the principle of cyclonic separation. It began in the 1970s while at home one afternoon. Becoming frustrated with his vacuum's diminishing performance, with dust clogging up the bag and losing suction, he had the idea of using cyclonic separation to create a vacuum that wouldn't lose suction as it picked up dirt. It took Dyson 5 years and over 5,000 prototypes to eventually launch the G-Force cleaner in 1983.
Took the vacuum cleaner to bits and fitted a new bag. I mean, it had some dust in the bag, but I thought I'd fit a new bag and see what happened. And the suction with the new bag was great for about the first room, and by about the time I got to the second room, I'd lost suction again. And this really annoyed me, and I knew that it wasn't because the bag was full. What I realised was that the very first dust which goes into a bag reduces the suction very quickly.
Dyson has now become one of the most popular brands. His Dyson Dual Cyclone became the fastest selling vacuum ever to be made in the UK. Determined to create something with even higher suction, Dyson and his team achieved this by adding a smaller diameter cyclone to give greater centrifugal force. This led to 45% more suction than the Dual Cyclone. According to him and his team, previous vacuum cleaners failed to maintain full suction power, leaving dirt behind.
About 80% of my time, in fact probably more now than when we were much smaller, because we've got a fantastic team here running the business, and so I can afford to spend much more of my time with engineers and scientists and designers developing new products.
Failing to sell his invention to major manufacturers, Dyson had to set up his own company, which now outsells those of some of the companies that rejected him. He presented his latest revolutionary design called the Ball, which aims to deliver a better and easier clean than ever before. The key to the Dyson Ball is its manoeuvrability. The inventor has now expanded his dual cyclone technology into washing machines. Called the dual cylinder, its unique 2 rotating drums, which move in opposite directions to each other, offer improved efficiency.
What I was interested in doing was having discovered that hand washing, if you actually hand wash clothes, you get them cleaner in 15 minutes than you get in 2 hours in a conventional washing machine. I realised that the action of hand washing is much more effective and at low temperatures than machine washing. In other words, the machine isn't actually washing the clothes, it's effectively giving a great big soap. So I set about developing a machine that replicated hand washing.
Suddenly, with the design of the Dyson washing machine, you could wash faster with better wash results and with larger loads. In December 2006, he was appointed a Knight Bachelor in the New Year's Honours List in recognition of his outstanding career. His product has now become the market leader around the globe and is known as the man who pioneered the bagless vacuum. Inspiration has been drawn from his vacuums, with fashion label Issey Miyake enlisting Dyson to produce a whirlwind display of clothes in Paris. As one of Britain's best known and respected inventors, his creative power has been proved time and time again in households around the world. Lakshmi Mittal is a London-based Indian billionaire industrialist. His hard work and persistence in the steel industry has turned him into one of the richest people in the world. According to Forbes magazine, Mittal has a personal fortune estimated at over $30 billion. He's been named Person of the Year by the Financial Times in 2006 and was one of the 100 most influential people in Time magazine. He began his career working in the family's steel-making business in India. And in 1976, when they founded their own steel company, he set out to establish its international business. Due to family differences, Mittal branched out on his own and took over the international operations of the Mittal steel business. Since 2005, Mittal has been the richest person residing in the United Kingdom, the richest person in Asia, and the fourth richest person on the planet. In 2006, Mittal Steel merged with Arcelor, Luxembourg's largest steel company. Mittal is now the president of the board of directors and CEO of the world's largest producer of steel.
We want to create the world's undisputed leader in the steel industry. The company will be a global champion with its home base in Europe. Why do we need to be global champion? Our customers and our suppliers are increasingly global. They prefer to have a strong and more global partner in front of them, because that is better business for them and reassures them.
As the world's #1 steel company, ArcelorMittal, with 310,000 employees in more than 60 countries, has led the consolidation of the world steel industry, and today ranks as the only true global steel maker.
Why would we propose this merger with Arcelor? In one word, because it is the best fit between any two companies in the industry. We are the two leaders in the industry and there is a very little overlap. So the cost of putting the two companies together is very small. We are very complementary. We are both also blessed with some of the industry's best management talent.
In March 2008, it was reported that Mittal was the fourth richest person in the world by Forbes magazine, jumping up from 61st richest back in 2004. The Mittal family recently purchased a 20% shareholding in the Queen's Park Rangers Football Club, along with Formula One's billionaire supremo Bernie Ecclestone and Italian Flavio Briatore. The aim is to take Queen's Park Rangers, winner of the League Cup in 1967, back to the Premier League. With India only winning a bronze medal in both the 1996 and 2000 Olympic Games and silver at the 2004 Games, Mittal funded the Mittal Champions Trust, which supports Indian athletes with world-beating potential. The initial $9 million funding was set up to help develop athletes for the 2012 Olympics in London. The sports in focus are squash, badminton, archery, boxing, shooting sports, swimming and heptathlon. Lakshmi Mittal is a man with great vision who's taken his family business to the next level. He's leaped impossible hurdles and achieved goals that some thought impossible. Mittal's wealth and power came from achieving his dream of consolidating the global steel industry.
She speaks greatly to women my age and to all people, but for me it's like especially pointed out because I feel like she's the only one kind of making movies about women in this way.
Sofia Coppola is an American film director, actress, producer and Academy Award-winning screenwriter. She's the third female director and the only American woman to be nominated for an Academy Award for directing. Coppola comes from a long line of filmmakers, including directors, actors and producers, and is the third generation of Oscar winners in the Coppola family. This includes her father Francis Ford Coppola, grandfather Carmine Coppola and cousin Nicolas Cage. They are only the second family ever to have 3 generations of Oscar winners. Francis Ford Coppola is a 5-time Academy Award-winning director, producer and screenwriter. He's most renowned for directing the widely respected Godfather trilogy and the Vietnam War epic Apocalypse Now. Nicolas Cage, the older cousin of Sofia, is one of Hollywood's leading men. As of 2007, Cage had been nominated twice for an Academy Award for Best Actor in a leading role, winning for his performance in Leaving Las Vegas in 1995. Continuing with the family tradition is Jason Schwartzman. As the younger cousin in this famous family, Schwartzman received starring roles in Rushmore and I Love Huckabees and appeared as Louis XVI in Coppola's own Marie Antoinette. Although Coppola has tried her hand at acting, appearing in many of her father's films, she's best known as a successful film director and has often been glorified as a pop culture icon within the indie music and film communities, mainly in Paris and Tokyo. Early in Coppola's directing career, she released The Virgin Suicides. For this, she won the MTV Movie Award for Best New Filmmaker. She then followed on with writing and directing the culture shock film Lost in Translation, starring Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. Lost in Translation, a film about two characters sitting in hotel rooms in Tokyo, each of them jet-lagged and lonely and entirely bewildered by all things Japanese, gave Coppola the Academy Award for Original Screenplay and nomination for Best Director. Although not set out to be just a comedy, Coppola's writing gave Bill Murray the biggest laughs that he has received in years. The film was praised for Coppola's script and distinctive directing. She's also the first child of a Directors Guild of America member to be nominated for the prestigious DGA Award, receiving the medallion for her work with Lost in Translation. Marie Antoinette is Coppola's third feature and her biggest to date, with a budget estimated at $40 million. The biopic, Marie Antoinette, stars Kirsten Dunst in the title role, as an amiable and naive teenager who is lost in the stifling constraints of the French court, where she was brought from Austria at the age of 14 to marry the heir to the throne. Coppola brought this period movie to the big screen using modern music in a sumptuous portrayal of a misunderstood young queen. Sofia Coppola may be in one of the movie industry's most famous families, but with that brings responsibility and an impressive reputation to live up to. But her intense and award-winning filmmaking is proof that she's doing just that. In 1981, Charles, Prince of Wales of the British royal family, and Lady Diana Spencer married, making her Diana, Princess of Wales. With crowds of 600,000 filling the streets to catch a glimpse of the fairy tale couple, they were married at St Paul's Cathedral before an invited congregation of 3,500 and an estimated global audience of 750 million. A year later, they gave birth to Prince William, followed by Prince Harry in 1984. They were now one of the world's most famous, powerful, and closely watched families. Sadly, Princess Diana died in 1997 due to a tragic car crash that shocked the world. Prince Harry is the grandson of Queen Elizabeth II and is third in line of succession to the thrones of the United Kingdom and the other 15 Commonwealth realms. Following in his brother's footsteps, Harry attended Wetherby School, then Ludgrove in Berkshire, where he stayed for 5 years. Moving on to Eton College, he completed his education in 2003, receiving A-level grades. While at school, Harry developed his love for sport. After completing his studies, he took a gap year where he visited Australia, Argentina and Africa. Entering the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in 2005, he successfully completed a 44-week training course as an officer cadet, before being commissioned in April 2006 as a second lieutenant in the Household Cavalry. Recently, Harry spent more than 2 months serving with the British Army in Afghanistan. After leaks from the media of his whereabouts, Harry was withdrawn from Afghanistan, as the news could have potentially jeopardised the safety of him and his fellow troops.
I wouldn't have joined the army unless I thought I was going to. Simple as that. If they said no, you can't go frontline, then I wouldn't drag my sorry ass through Sandhurst, and I wouldn't be where I am now.
The Prince remains passionate about charity work and shows a similar caring and sensitive side like his mother did. He supports many charities, ranging from helping sick children with the charity Well Child, to helping injured service personnel returning from Iraq and Afghanistan with the newly created Help for Heroes. He, along with the Prince of Lesotho, launched the Sentable charity. This charity is designed to transform the lives of Lesotho's orphans and vulnerable children, and to help the forgotten victims of poverty and of the HIV/AIDS epidemic ravaging the country. The British Royal Princes in early 2008 visited wounded British veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan in a specialist unit in England. They were given a guided tour by staff and met patients in the Headley Court Rehabilitation Centre that caters for troops who have been severely wounded. But Harry, like most young adults, has had his share of controversies. He caused a stir when attending a fancy dress party dressed in a Nazi uniform, but apologised after realising this was a bad choice. To commemorate and celebrate the life of their mother, who spent much of her time helping others in need, Harry and William organised 2 major events, which were also designed to raise money for their chosen charities. Concert for Diana, seen by thousands around the world, was a huge success. Prince Harry is not only a member of the royal family, he's an inspiration to many young adults.